Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining today. I'm Latrice Peoples. I am the volunteer coordinator for the RECF. And today I'm going to share with you some of the methods that I use for recruiting volunteers for our events. In this session, Finding Volunteers for Events, we are going to talk about a few things: understanding the need, current networks to tap into, promotion, getting the word out, how to let people know that you have these volunteer opportunities, and making it easy for them to connect and engage with your opportunities, and then sources that you may not have even considered utilizing or tapping in for volunteers. So let's start with understanding the need. The roles. What roles or responsibilities do you need volunteers to fill? It's very important that you are clear in what you need. You have to know the different areas where you need volunteers so that everyone is very clear on what you need to successfully run your event. And then also that takes us to number two, not only the different roles that are needed, but how many volunteers do you need to complete that role? How many people do you need to successfully run that area or to complete that task? So knowing the roles that you need is very important, and knowing the number of people that you need to accurately facilitate that task or cover that area are very important. And then number three, the skills. What skills are required, if any? Our team does a really good job of putting, if there are any skills that are required, or if there are none required for our different volunteer roles, they're available on our resources site. So when someone goes to look at the role that they may be interested in, they can see what is needed and what skills are necessary for that role, if any. So roles are important, knowing what you need, the number of people that you need for that area, and then number three, the skills. What skills are required, if any, to complete this volunteer task? And then number four, pre-event. Are there any volunteer opportunities that someone can do before the event or off-site? For instance, if you are running a concession stand, maybe you can have someone go ahead and order the supplies or order the things that will be available at the concession stand, and then organize those, create labels with price tags on them so that they can be accurately posted. These are things that can be done before your event is even to begin. And that way you are already prepared. So roles, the number of people you need to fulfill those roles to operate a successful event. And then the skills, what's necessary, because you want to be transparent with those people who are your possible volunteers, so that they know what to expect. And then pre-event. Recruit volunteers to do the tasks that can be done before your event begins. So let's talk about a few different roles. There are so many things and roles that go into hosting an event and facilitating an event that's seamless and successful. We have scorekeeper referees, there are MCs who need to call the game, there's the concession stand, you can have a coordinator for that, there's tournament manager operators, there's tech specialists to ensure that if anything comes up tech-wise, that you have someone who's available to fix those things or repair those things as soon as possible. And then there's volunteer coordinators, there's cuers, there's the setup crew, there's the cleanup crew at the end of the day, and then there are your judges. So there are a plethora of roles that are required to go into hosting a successful event. Let's focus on the volunteer coordinator quickly. If you can find someone who can coordinate the volunteers for you, that is amazing. It takes a great deal of the responsibility and the load off you as the event partner or the coach. as the event partner or the coach. So if you can find someone who can coordinate your volunteers, they're the ones who are communicating with your volunteers. They're the ones who make sure that the volunteers know when to arrive and what they're going to be doing. So if you can find someone who is willing to be your volunteer coordinator, I encourage you to do so. And as we look at some of these other things, the concessions coordinator and the setup crew and the cleanup crew, these people don't require any STEM skills or robotic skills. So your pool of volunteers available for these types of volunteer roles is vast. So take full advantage of the groups that you're connected to and the people that you have access to. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. So make sure that you know all of the roles that you need, and then make sure that you are looking at these and that they know what skills are required, as we've talked about before, and then also what's necessary. So as I mentioned, we have access to so many different networks. So tap into those networks that you are already a part of. When you think about your existing supporters, so spectators and parents, those people that you see every tournament, every game, showing up for different types of events that are always there watching and supporting as they watch. Tap into those people. And then past volunteers, those people who have volunteered before, who you may not have seen volunteer in a while, reach out to them. Your volunteer mailing list and database, if you are not collecting information such as, an email address or a phone number, some type of contact information, I encourage you to do so immediately. But those volunteer mailing lists that you have, make sure that you stay engaged with those people. Send them a message every now and then. Let them know what is going on in your events or with teams, just different things. You want to make sure that you stay engaged with them and reach out to them and let them know the need that you have. Sometimes it's just a matter of not knowing what the need is. So make sure that you are communicating with them your needs. And then alumni, those students who participated in the events and the competitions before, who may have now gone on to high school or college or even into the workforce. Reach out to them, stay connected and engage, and reach out to them. Your alumni, they make great judges and great scorekeeper referees and different things like that, because they were a part of the program before. So I encourage you to reach out to them. And then your donors, those people who may give financially or give some type of resource or in-kind donation, reach out to them. Because it could be that even though they're giving their resources, even though they may be giving funds and donating certain things, they could also be willing to donate their time, or especially if it's a group or an organization, and which we'll talk about next. These employee groups, workplaces of current volunteers, those spectators and the parents and the volunteers that you have right now, so many of them are in the workforce and belong to different organizations within their companies. So encourage them to share what they are doing, encourage them to share what they're participating in. And so that could draw more people in who will want to come and volunteer with them. And then now there's really popular employee resource groups. These are groups within companies and organizations. This is how a lot of large companies today get involved in different nonprofit events and team building activities. Their employees are actually the ones who are making these suggestions, and they are sharing with their companies, the companies that they work for, they're sharing with them what they are passionate about. So encourage your current employees or your current volunteers to talk to the people that they work with, to get involved in some of these employee resource groups and tap into those and encourage them to come. It is a great way to get in the door and to have actually a consistent team and a group of people to come and volunteer for your event. And then your community partners. When you think about service organizations, Rotary clubs, your local volunteer groups and local volunteer sites, a lot of cities have on their city website an area for volunteers, and it is free to post there. And then local volunteer groups, there are so many cities and towns that have a group of people who volunteer. So you want to make sure that you go to your city's website or your town's website and look to see where that volunteer section is. And like I said before, most of these are free to post. So post your event and get engaged and stay engaged with these groups. And so who are they? These volunteers, they are your students, they are retirees or empty nesters, they're corporate volunteer teams, they're families or groups. One of the things that is so unique about our events and the events that you host is that there is almost something for everyone to do. So no matter the age, students can help volunteer. If you are running a tournament or an event and your students are young, utilize some of those middle schoolers or utilize some of the high schoolers to help you, or utilize some of the college students to help you, which we'll also talk about later. But utilize the students, tap them in, have them get engaged. They are great at so many different things. So utilize them, especially those who have participated in your programs before. Retirees are empty nesters. They enjoy giving their time and their resources. So reach out to those different groups. They will be more than happy to give you a few hours of their time. And then corporate volunteer teams. It is a great way for a group of volunteers to get involved, and it gives you access to a group of people at one time most of the time. So they can take on multiple tasks. So utilize corporate volunteer teams. Not only does it benefit you and your event, but it also benefits them because it's a way for them to have a team builder and something that's different. So it gives them a chance to enhance their camaraderie and be a more cohesive team. So not only does it benefit you, but it also benefits them as a corporate volunteer team. And then families or groups. This is another way that our events and competitions are unique because families can come together and volunteer together. You could have a dad who is a scorekeeper referee, and you could have mom who is a cuer, and you can have the younger siblings of those who are competing who are there being field resetters. Like there are so many different ways that families and groups can be involved and engaged together, or the entire family could come in and be your volunteer check-in, or they could come in and be your team check-in team. So many different ways. They can come in and run concessions. Just be creative and think about all of the different ways that families and groups can come and be engaged in your event. Now let's talk a little bit about promotion. How do you get the word out? Like what platforms are used by your ideal volunteers? What messages will compel them to volunteer? And are there incentives or recognition for your volunteers? So what platforms do volunteers use? We know that social media is very popular. It is not going away, so utilize it to your advantage. It can be used to create an event. You can put an event on Facebook and have people say that they are coming, and then they can share it with their community. Share pics and videos from different events that you have. People, we know that now we live in a society that is very engaged in content. So make sure that you are sharing content that's appropriate to your event or your competition. And like I said before, make sure that you are encouraging your current volunteers to share with their community, getting the word out. Utilize social media to your advantage. It is a free platform. Utilize it, utilize it, utilize it as much as you can. I cannot stress that enough. Stay engaged with those people who follow your events and who are interested in what is happening at your events and your competition. So utilize every platform that you can. Volunteer sites. There are so many different volunteer sites that are available for you to post your volunteer needs at no cost to you, completely complimentary. Volunteermatch.org and idealist.org. They recently merged, and I believe now it is just idealist.org. But even if you go to volunteermatch.org, it should take you to idealist.org. This is a huge platform, probably one of the largest, but people who go to these sites know they are there to find volunteer opportunities. These are the people that you want. This is what they want to do. So post your items there, post your volunteer needs there. I encourage you to post all of your volunteer needs here. And then you decide the information that you would like them to give you. There is volleynow.org. You can go there. All of the sites that I am mentioning are free platforms for you to use. And this is where people go to find volunteer opportunities. So make sure that you go there if you need additional volunteers. And then relationships. Word of mouth is still trending. All of the volunteers, all of the different communities that you're engaged in, share what you are doing. Do not be afraid to ask if someone will volunteer. You never know. I like to say that I am in the nonprofit world. And so no to me only means not right now. So continue to ask and just encourage them. If they see your excitement and your excitement and your involvement, it draws people in. So make sure that you are sharing what you're doing and what's happening. So now let's talk about compelling volunteers to come. There are three things: the reason, the how, and the result. When you are compelling volunteers to volunteer, when you are compelling them to come and trying to encourage someone to volunteer, really keep it simple. The first thing is to talk about the students. They're the reason, they're the focus. This is why you host events, so that the students can have a platform and an environment to express their creativity and to problem solve. This is the focus. The students are the reason that we host the events. The students are the reason that we do what we do. The students are the reason that we give of our time and our talent and our treasure. The students are the reason. Now the how, the support, the how. It takes volunteers to facilitate a great event. Most of these could not be done without the help of volunteers. So make sure that you encourage them and let them know that you really need them. People enjoy being valued. So we want to make sure that volunteers know that they are valued and that they are necessary to facilitate a great event. At the end of the day, it is you and the students and the volunteers who have created this amazing event. And then the result is the impact. It is because of the dedication, and I mentioned this a little bit before, because of the dedication of volunteers that students get the opportunity to compete. So you want to make sure that they know what their impact is. Volunteers want to know how their couple of hours a day or their couple of hours over the span of a few days, like what is the impact? How did their hours help your event? How did their time impact the students? They want to know these things. So let them know, share the information with them because of your hours, because you came and volunteered. We were able to host so many events. We were able to accommodate this number of teams. Make sure that they know the impact, what the result was as a result of their volunteering, and as because of their time and because they committed to your event. Share with them their impact. And now let's talk about possible incentives. There is something called a WIFM effect, WIFM, and it is what's in it for me. As people, it is our human nature to think about these things. So these are a few ideas, possible incentives, what's in it for the volunteers. The first thing is service hours. Service hours are often required for students and some corporate volunteers, and they often have to provide approval of their service hours. Like they have to have a way to show that this is what they did. So service hours are so important. Make sure that when you're recruiting volunteers that you let them know about your incentives. And so service hours are a big thing. Students in high school, students in college, and like I said, some corporations even ask that their employees have service hours. And so this is a great way to let them know, hey, you can get service hours by coming and volunteering at one of my events or one of the competitions. And then also with that, certificates for volunteering or service, whether it's electronic or printed, it provides volunteers with a way for them to showcase their commitment to volunteerism. And it can be a way for your volunteers to show either in school or either in a corporation, show that they actually volunteered. So whether it's in an electronic, whether you give certificates electronically or you print them, this is a great incentive for volunteers. Team building. Volunteering as a team with colleagues, club members, or even as a family is a great way to foster camaraderie. Let them know, hey, this is a great team building activity for you. It's different than most. Your teams can come together. We like to put when we have teams who come to us to volunteer as a group, I like to try to keep them together. But even if you can't, even if you do not have a way to keep them all together, they can still volunteer. Even if you have to send them out 2 by 2, do not turn them away. You can find a place for them. It is a great team building activity. And then swag, offering a t-shirt, a wristband, a water bottle, or any type of swag for volunteers to wear while volunteering is great. And after they leave your event and they still wear their swag, it's a great way to advertise for your next event or to advertise what you're doing. And it creates a buzz, an environment of community. So you see your event filled with all of these people who have on your t-shirt, or all of them who are wearing the same wristband or drinking from the same water bottles, or whatever swag it is that you distribute, it is a great way to create an environment of community. So think about swag and what you can give to your volunteers, and then think about the after effect, that they will still look at that t-shirt or look at that wristband or use that water bottle even after the competition is done. And then now let's talk a little bit about additional resources. There are some ways and some um, other areas to recruit volunteers. AARP has a section on their website strictly for volunteerism, and it's free to post there. So I mentioned before, those retirees or those empty nesters, when they go to AARP, they can look and see what volunteer opportunities there are in their area. And so it's a great way to publicize. It's free to post there. So utilize that resource. And then universities often have volunteer fairs. So if you have a college campus near you or a university near you, you can go to their website and find the dates for their volunteer fairs. You just reach out to them. The contact information is there. Reach out to them and let them know that you are interested in being one of the groups that's there. You'd like a table there to come and let people know about your volunteer needs. They also usually host one in the fall and one in the spring, and they also have usually a space on their website for students to go to look for volunteer opportunities. Remember, a lot of degrees require that they have some type of service hours. So utilize that resource, volunteer fairs, whether it is in person or whether you post on their website. Utilize these university and college campuses. And then LinkedIn. LinkedIn now has available where you can go and post volunteer opportunities. The only suggestion that I really have here is to make sure you put volunteer. That volunteer is very clear in your language, that it is a volunteer opportunity. But go there, because there are professionals who want to make sure that they stay engaged in the community, and your events are a great way for them to stay engaged in community. LinkedIn is also another great way to find different groups, like different STEM groups, different engineering groups, different robotics groups, like all of those different things. So utilize LinkedIn to your advantage and engage with those professionals who are looking for volunteer opportunities. Also, a few other things like the local news. Have students featured on a local news network to engage a broader audience. We like to know what's going on in the community. So it's a great way to get the word out about your event. And then social service groups like sororities and fraternities and giving circles and junior league. They have chapters all over the country. YMSL, which is Young Men's Service League, they have chapters all over the country. And so look at some of these groups who can come in and help you. Like, so many of them probably have the capacity to help you with all of your volunteer needs. So utilize those groups, reach out to them, let them know. Remember, I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation that, let them know your roles, let them know the number of volunteers you need, let them know the skills that are required, and then let them know if there are things that can be done before the event begins. But utilize these resources. And then lastly, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out. My email address is volunteer@recf.org, or you can reach me utilizing the phone number, text or call 469-799 6586. You can reach me at either of those if you have any questions. I know we covered quite a bit of information, so if you forgot to, if you thought about something, if this prompted a question, just feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And then there's some additional information here where you can reach us, phone and email, and the website drones.recf.org. That is drones@recf.org. And like I said, if you have any questions or if you would like more information, please reach out. Love to stay connected. And we hope that this information has been pertinent for you and provides you with resources and the tools that you need, and it generates other ideas for you. Thank you for joining today. Again, reach out if you have any questions or comments.